Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jason from Flexsteel. I'm going to do a service video here for you on how to refresh your furniture to give it a more crisp, newer look. This particular piece of furniture has been in use about 5 years. It's seen quite a bit of movement to college and back. Has given us a lot of good service, but there are some characteristics of it that I'm going to show you how to improve today. The first item is the headrest area and the cushioning materials. You can tell that this fabric material has it's baggy and it is sagging down into the lumbar area. The armrest here is kind of cupped inward from use where we've had our arms on it, and it has kind of pushed all the fibers inward. And then there's this space that's between the center seat and the left side facing that has developed additional spacing here over time, most likely from all the movement that we've given the piece of furniture. But it is certainly something that can be corrected and will get a better look out of this piece of furniture once I show you the adjustments that I'm going to make. Stay tuned. Okay, now we have the demonstration of how we are going to address the sagging headrest pillow here and this baggy material that I had mentioned earlier. So inside of these jackets are fiber-filled materials, very similar to materials that are used in bed pillows. And those fibers, when they originally start, they are all separated and they give a lot of push with the fiber material, and then it pushes out on the jacket. Well, after significant use, this gets matted down and those fibers get commingled and they start to nest together. So all I'm simply going to do is to knead that fiber material to pull them apart and free them up so that they are not just situated so that they're parallel to each other and not giving the push like we really want this to have. So the initial part is I'm grabbing the bag of fibers in there, I'm separating them and fluffing the material, really is what I'm doing at this point. And this cushion also over time has pulled forward, which is giving part of that bagginess that you're seeing down there. So I'm going to make sure that I grab this material. I'm putting fibers at the top so that it pushes the jacket back again like it was intended before. Same thing with the lumbar materials to get those pulled out to where they get the proper push again. And you can see the improvement there. On the armrest, same thing has happened. Fibers have gotten situated into a different area. So again, I'm grabbing the fibers through the jacket and I am pulling them apart, commingling them so that they're facing different directions and giving the armrest back to its original shape. I can feel here where fibers have actually slipped down over the side of the arm here and are causing that to slope inward. Now I have a nice straight arm there. My back cushion is full and giving the push again. And I'll do the same thing with the other side here. Oh yeah, again, the fibers are way down along the side of the jacket, not where they're supposed to be. You can tell that these are bunched together. And make sure you're careful that you don't pull excessively on the heavy stitching that's in here. That looks much better. And same thing with this side. Get those fibers freed up. I could feel a lot of bunched fibers in this area that are that are now freed up and look good. So now I have a pretty similar appearance. This cushion hardly ever gets sat in, so I'll do just a little bit with this one, but it actually looks really good. So that's a tip for getting the fibers redistributed. Those will, like your bed pillow, they will over time bunch together. So now we've got a good full cushion again, and we'll move on to addressing some of the alignment issues. So now I'm taking a look at that gap that I had noticed in between the two cushions from the left side facing and the center. The first thing I did is I flipped the furniture over, and I'm taking a look at the long rail that goes from one end to another on the back and the front of the furniture. So I had to remove a couple of these plastic feet one was located in this area and one was located right over here, so that I could fit a straight edge on there. And you can see down at the end it's touching here, and then it starts to form a gap till we get to the center here, and that is about a 1/4 inch gap. So this rail has, as I mentioned before, from moving the furniture, has bent over time. So what I'm going to do is to show you how to rebound the metal rail so that you can get rid of those gaps and get this straight again. Now that we have identified that we have this long rail and it's not a straight shape like we want, what I am doing is I am removing the center glides that I had 2 of those off originally so that I could check it with my straight edge. I went ahead and took the 2 front ones off as well. Those would have been right here in this location, and then there was another one right here. And then I've taken the outside glides loose, and I've added a couple of standard hardware washers. These are 7/16, which 2 of them gets a little bit less than a 1/4 inch in this case. And sometimes these bolts, as you may be aware, they are a self-threading, self-tapping bolt, and sometimes they can give you a little bit of a hard time if you remove them, that they don't want to grip when you reinstall them. Well, the nice thing here is that there is a secondary bolt right next to it, and I'm going to show you right here where I had trouble getting. This bolt was the one that had the glide on it previously, so all I did was go ahead and reinsert that bolt, and I moved the glide to this bolt hole. That's okay for right now, for what we're doing. Not a problem. There's only a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch difference in where this is centered, so it really shouldn't give us any trouble. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the furniture back over, and then I'm going to sit in the center section multiple times and try to get that long rail to rebound back to its straight position that it originally was in. So now I have returned the furniture back up to its upright position. I have the blocks into the corner glides, and you can see from this now that the large gap that I was showing you in the beginning is gone. So now what I will do is I'll go ahead and install the center glides that were in the center section here and here, both in the front and the back. So those are underneath there in case we need to slide the furniture or move it in the house. Another service tip that I'll take the opportunity to show you is in regard to the back assemblies. This particular one, with all of the use that we've given it, you can see the back has loosened up quite a bit here. And I'm going to show you what generally causes that condition and how to repair it. So I have removed the back from the mechanism brackets that are in the rear here on each side. And the mating component is this sleeve that is fastened to the back, and Yeah, you can probably hear that moving. This bracket is fairly loose. These screws, they do go through wood into T-nuts generally, and over time the wood does expand and contract as it normally would, and those fasteners can get loose. So you simply, some of them are a Phillips star head bit, others are a hex head. You simply go through and tighten those up. Those moved quite a bit. That one was certainly loose. Okay, now that we have those tightened up, I'll put this back on and I will show you how that addresses that loose back condition. Now I've reassembled the back onto the furniture after I tightened the brackets, and you can see how that has stiffened all those joints up. So that's good. The next thing I'm going to show you deals with the outbacks, and sometimes the outbacks can get misaligned. This one here, you can see that it's hanging back a little bit from the center seat. The other one on this side and the center are lined up really well. So what I'm going to show you is a way to get that spacing more consistent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the furniture onto its back and show you the hardware that needs to be loosened up so that we can get both sides of the recliner, the left side and the right side, to match with the center. So we'll flip the furniture up here onto its back because we want to align the backs. So now everything is resting on the outback. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen any of the hardware that directly connects to a mechanism part. So I'm going to loosen the bolt here. There's another bolt right here. There's two more right there at the bottom. I don't need to do anything with this bolt or the bolt at the bottom. This is just a spacer between the front rail and the back rail. So then I'll loosen these two bolts and the two bolts on the bottom of this mechanism. The center section I'm going to leave alone because that's what we're going to align to, so we're satisfied with where it's positioned. And then the same thing on this side. I'm going to loosen up this bolt, this one, and the same ones at the back of the furniture. And I'm just going to loosen them up, and what that'll do is allow the backs on each side to properly align with that center seat that's on this sofa. Okay, so now I'm almost finished up here with, I have already loosened up all of the hardware that I spoke about on both sides, and I allowed the left side portion of the sofa to relax back towards where it was level with the centerpiece, and then the same thing with the right side facing. And I've retightened the hardware on most of it, except for one area, because I want to show something here that I need to cover in the video. And that's with regard to when you're tightening these bolts around the glide area. This bolt back here can be very difficult to get the socket on. So it's always a good idea to first tighten that back bolt. So you want to back the glide off so that your socket can fit onto the hardware. So this is what I always do. I make sure that I tighten this bolt first, and then I will tighten the glide hardware so that I have room to be able to fit the socket. You can see here that with that glide tightened, it's you'll fight with this for a while before you get it on there. So just a little tip there. The other thing I'll point out is that I did go with a 1/4 inch drive 7/16. These typically have a thinner wall to them, smaller diameter. So from the 3/8 drive, I put on a 3/8 down to 1/4 inch adapter so that I could fit this socket on there. One more item that I wanted to cover here that I ran into while I was doing all this adjustment is that the fastener, the bolt that is in here where we put these washers on earlier, from removing it and installing it and removing it, installing it, well, it did not want to grip into the metal anymore. With these being a self-tapping bolt, that can occur with multiple uses of the hardware. And these bolts that we use are a metric size that is slightly larger than 1/4 inch standard thread. So in this case, what I was able to do was to, since the bolt that I was using in here was not working very well, I went ahead and I just got a standard 1/4 inch bolt. I think this is about 1 1/4 inches long, and that fits right through that hole that the metric used to be in. Also, I wanted to point out, so those were the washers that I'd put on originally, and I was not satisfied with the way that the gap was closing up in the seat cushions. So what I did is I put an additional 2 washers in between the mechanism bottom of the hinge and the metal rail that goes across the front of the furniture. And then of course did the same thing with the additional bolt that's here. This one still has plenty of gripping power. And then I did the same thing at the back as well. So just wanted to make sure that I showed you that in case you end up in a situation that the hardware strips, essentially. A 1/4 inch standard bolt works fine in that hole, and it's a tight fit, but it will pass through there without any problem because that metric is slightly larger than a 1/4 inch. So now we're gonna flip the furniture back down and see how we did on the back alignment here between the sides and the center piece. So you can see here that that alignment looks good now. This alignment was fine before and still looks good. So as we look down the edge of the piece, great alignment there. And then the other point here is that gap where I added the extra washers. That gap is filled in very nicely now. The next service tip that I'm going to show is dealing with these comfort wrinkles that are showing in the front of this sofa. To me, that's pretty distracting, and I like to keep the furniture fabric tight and more attractive than this look that it gives when you get these comfort wrinkles. So what I'm going to do is to use a small steamer on these wrinkles so that I can refresh the way that this looks. Of course, this is going to make the fabric a little bit damp, but it'll dry out within an hour or so here. But I really want to get these out, so I'll demonstrate that for you as well. As I said, I know I'm making the fabric a little bit damp. This fabric is tolerant of that. It won't create an issue for me here. Of course, there's going to be some lines in this style of fabric here as it gets wet. But I just wanted to show you how well this works for tightening up the fabric and giving it a fresh, new appearance. And what I haven't told you yet is I already did the center. You can see the top edge of it is pretty well dried. The front there still has some drying to do. And that was only about 10 minutes ago, so it gives you an idea of how quickly this will dry out. And again, this is a fabric, it is not a leather. Leather can be steamed. You have to be very careful that you don't get excessive heat on it. Most of the leathers are finished in a semi-aniline or a fully pigmented, to where they're very durable. You can get them damp, and that won't cause an issue either. Some back here. Okay, so you can see now it is damp, but this fabric is much more taut, and it will dry similar to the center section here, which as you can see, the comfort wrinkles come right out, and it makes the furniture look more refreshed and renewed. Well, now we have finished all of the work and adjustments that I wanted to make to this sofa. The piece turned out really good. Our back cushions now look uniform and have the proper push. Our armrests look refreshed and like they did when they were new. We were able to resolve this issue with the gap between the center cushion and the left side recliner. The steaming that we performed took out the comfort wrinkles to a great extent, and some of those, they had been in there through 5 years of use, so it looks much better. I know that our backs are all aligned. The backs are adjusted so that they're tight. Everything just really turned out great, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot more service out of this piece of furniture. I want to thank you for watching our service video, and please let us know through our customer care department if there are any other service videos that would help you in your work and servicing of Flexsteel furniture. Thank you and have a great day.